I was really lonely figuring out my sexuality. TikTok helped me out a lot with that. TikTok became my friend. That sounds sad. I'm Megan and I'm single, and I've been single through the whole pandemic.
Hi, my name is Jasmine and I have been dating my partner Kate through the pandemic.
Hi, I'm Cheska and I've been married for 7 years.
I had come out midway through 2019, but was in a relationship. So that relationship ended late 2019 and I was excited to be single and explore my sexuality a little bit more, and I didn't really get a chance.
I am dating my partner Kate. We met on Instagram. When the pandemic started, we had been dating for a year officially, but like seeing each other for a year and a half.
I've been married for 7 years and I've known my husband for 11 years. We met because his brother was my friend in community college. I am currently pregnant. I'm 37 weeks, so by the time you see this video, I've already had a baby.
I live alone and I always loved living alone, but when the pandemic hit and the quarantine happened, it really highlighted that I am truly an extrovert, and it was really painful in the beginning to not be able to socialize with people.
When the pandemic started, it was like scary, and also we didn't know anything. So immediately Kate and I quarantined with each other at my apartment, which already had my roommate and her girlfriend there. We were all basically doing absolutely nothing because we were so afraid to get each other sick. Staying with each other like non-stop was also very new to our relationship.
My husband is actually a healthcare worker, so he works at the hospital. I started working from home. There were times, however, that he could work from home because he's more in management. During those days, I realized that it could get very difficult if he was working from home full time.
Overall, being single during the pandemic has been really wonderful in ways that I never expected it to be. I don't know that I would have cut my hair, gotten these new tattoos. I got involved in the skating community.
Overall, dating during the pandemic has been the hardest thing that I have ever done. There were good times and bad times, a lot of bad times, but I also think we grew like 5 years in this past 1 year.
Overall, being married during the pandemic has come with a lot of changes, but I do feel that there's a lot of good that has come with it too.
I was really lonely in the beginning of the pandemic, sort of semi-recent breakup, figuring out my sexuality. TikTok helped me out a lot with that. TikTok like became my friend. That sounds sad. And then coming into the understanding that I always have a friend in me. I am the only one who's ever gonna really truly have my back. That sounds like kind of pessimistic, but it's just true, and it feels really good to acknowledge. I stopped looking for love in other people and truly just found it in myself. Don't get me wrong, I'd love a partner, that would be fun.
Before the pandemic, Kate and I were not living with each other, so it came up that like maybe we should move in with each other. My lease was coming up. It worked out with my roommates because her girlfriend was moving in. So finally we did some searching. We found an apartment. We couldn't even see the apartment before we moved in. We had one of the office managers like FaceTime us as he walked through the home. We rented it through that FaceTime. I remember when we first walked into our apartment, I was hesitant going into it, and Kate was like, this is gonna be great. And then we got into the apartment and I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. And Kate was like, this is not what I thought it was. And so it was rough. Obviously it worked out. We're still here. We love it.
So during the pandemic, our routine has definitely changed. Funny enough, we do get to spend a little bit more time with each other in the morning because I'm not rushing out to get to work and going through traffic. We did do a lot of changes at home. We have an office space now in our backyard. We got one of those barns, you know what I mean, in Office Depot, and then converted it into like a tiny house office. We've always planned to do that. And then I got pregnant, so we were like, okay, gotta make this happen. We have to do it. We have 9 months to do it. And it has been really nice for me because I get to kind of walk out and go to an office and not lay in bed.
So I was happy to stay single in the beginning of the pandemic, and then eventually in the summer I started dating. So I got on all the dating apps. The sun is out longer. we understood the rules of the pandemic a little bit more. I would go on dates outside, masked. We'd skateboard or we'd sit in a park 6 feet away on different blankets and eat a snack and get to know each other that way. So dating definitely looked different. Once the winter hit and it was dark so early, and you don't want to like go outside and sit in the freezing cold dark after work, I just deleted all the apps and I was like, okay, I don't need it. Come back inside of yourself and your apartment. And now that the sun is back out, so am I.
Soon after y'all saw, we did a move-in series together, and grateful for the series. Probably one of my worst ideas ever. I think with being in the pandemic and not knowing what was going on and kind of being like, oh, this is gonna end soon, I was like, okay, let's go, let's keep on going, let's keep on doing things, la 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 la. And I did not realize how I was being affected mentally. I wish we would have waited a little bit. In 3 months to get your whole house together, to buy stuff, to figure stuff out, go through a pandemic. Kate's a teacher. Teachers have been like being on for the last year. But one thing I can say is that me and Kate very much showed up for each other. 1 week, it had to be in like July, I was like very just like down and upset, and there was so many like protests and riots, and Kate like got this like tub and put this like warm water in it and gave me like a foot massage and just had me like lay on the bed and like rubbed my hands and feet, and I just like cried for like hours.
We have been trying for a baby for like since before the pandemic. You know, when the pandemic started, I wasn't pregnant yet, but we were still not using contraception. We didn't know how long this pandemic would take. We thought like maybe 3 months, tops July, we'd be back to normal. I got pregnant sometime in July. Because we'd already been trying, I knew right away that I was pregnant when I missed my period. You know, I was like, hopefully by the pandemic's over. We have vaccines now, which is great. I just got mine 2 days ago because a few weeks ago, pregnant women in California were added to the high-risk category. My doctor did tell me that she would not discourage me from getting it. She would actually encourage me to get it. I don't want to hide my baby until we're old enough to get a vaccine. That would just be strange. So I'm hoping to pass down antibodies.
So it's been interesting figuring out my sexuality and also navigating queer dating for the first time. Navigating queer dating for the first time is a whole thing in and of itself without a global pandemic going on. I'm absolutely dying to go to a bar and dance and socialize in normal ways with gay people. I've definitely found a queer community despite the whole world being closed. I feel very ingrained in that community, which I'm really grateful for. Dating has been really interesting and I'm excited to do it when the world opens up, but I'm way more grateful that I had time with myself instead.
Come like August and September, I think Kate and I kind of went through like a hard time, sorry, I'm like tearing up, of just like both of our mental health. Kate has dealt with depression, I deal with OCD and PTSD, just like two people being terrified for, you know, like our lives, our families' lives, being in the same house 24/7 with each other. That is not normal. Of course, we would get frustrated whether it was Kate's fault or my fault or not. Around the end of September, I told Kate that I needed to go home and be with my family. I was so mentally unwell here. So Kate obviously supported me. I went home for a few months, saw doctors, got on some medicine for my OCD. It was almost nice to be able to miss Kate again. It felt like our normal relationship again, where we would like text each other and like be excited and like actually value the time that we were talking to each other rather than just talking to each other nonstop because that's the only people we were seeing.
This is my first pregnancy. I know what happens when people get pregnant. You have your partner or, you know, somebody, a support system to go with you to the scans. You know, you get to do baby showers, which would have been a fun thing. And the scans are definitely the most important thing for us that he didn't get to do because a lot of things apparently can go wrong during a pregnancy. It would have been nice to have him with me. If I was pregnant before the pandemic and gave birth in the middle of the pandemic, I would be a lot more anxious. It's good timing for me that I'm giving birth now that we already know what a pandemic is. There's a vaccine.
It's been a terrible year. Like, people have died. I'm also really grateful that I have found myself. So I'm really excited and confident coming out of this, feeling like I understand myself better.
Our plan is to have a meet the baby shower for vaccinated people. Hopefully down the line, the baby can meet other family that hasn't been vaccinated, or hopefully travel, because I do have a lot of family in New York and different places.
I'm hoping that things can be kind of like normal, where Kate goes to work and I go to work and we come home and we just like love each other. It's just gonna be like brighter from here.